Once upon a time, in a bustling city, there lived a man named Mark. Mark was a diligent worker, always aiming for the stars and planning his future meticulously. But with this ambition came a constant companion, Mr. Anxiety. Mr. Anxiety was a peculiar character, always dressed in shades of gray, with a demeanor that was both intimidating and compelling. He clung to Mark like a shadow, whispering worries and fears about the future. At first, Mark didn't mind Mr. Anxiety. In fact, he believed that Mr. Anxiety was the reason for his success. "You need me," Mr. Anxiety would say. "I keep you sharp. I make sure you're always prepared." And so, Mark embraced him, letting Mr. Anxiety guide his every move. Weeks turned into months, and Mark found himself feeling increasingly exhausted. No matter how much he slept, the fatigue never left him. His mind was constantly racing, filled with an endless stream of what-ifs and worst-case scenarios. The more he tried to control the future, the more it seemed to slip through his fingers. Mr. Anxiety, always by his side, seemed to be growing stronger and more demanding. One particularly stressful week, Mr. Anxiety's grip on Mark tightened. Mark's heart raced, his chest felt heavy, and his thoughts spiraled out of control. He couldn't breathe. It felt like the world was closing in on him. In a panic, he called for help and was rushed to the hospital. Lying in the sterile white room, Mark felt more alone than ever. He couldn't understand why Mr. Anxiety, who had always been his driving force, had brought him to this point. A kind nurse sat by his bed, gently holding his hand. "Mark," she said softly, "you've been running a marathon with no breaks. Your body and mind need rest. You need to find balance." It was in that quiet moment that Mark realized the truth. Mr. Anxiety had been pushing him too hard, always focusing on the future, never allowing him to enjoy the present. He had become a prisoner of his own ambitions. Determined to take control of his life, Mark decided to change. He started with small steps, incorporating meditation into his daily routine. Each morning, he would sit in silence, focusing on his breath, allowing his mind to settle. At first, it was difficult. Mr. Anxiety would still whisper in his ear, but Mark learned to acknowledge the whispers without letting them take over. He also began exercising regularly, finding that physical activity helped clear his mind and release the tension in his body. Whether it was a brisk walk in the park or a session at the gym, Mark felt more grounded and present. Mark also broke down his goals into smaller, more manageable tasks. Instead of overwhelming himself with long-term plans, he focused on what he could achieve each day. This approach allowed him to see progress and celebrate small victories, keeping Mr. Anxiety at bay. With time, Mark noticed a change. The constant exhaustion faded, replaced by a newfound sense of peace. He still had goals and ambitions, but they no longer consumed him. He learned to live in the moment, appreciating the beauty of each day. Mr. Anxiety, now a quieter presence, still visited from time to time. But Mark had learned to keep him in his place, using his whispers as gentle reminders rather than paralyzing fears. He understood that Mr. Anxiety could be a motivator, but only if balanced with mindfulness and self-care. One sunny afternoon, as Mark sat on a park bench, he reflected on his journey. He watched children playing, listened to the birds singing, and felt the warmth of the sun on his face. For the first time in a long while, he felt truly alive. He realized that life was not just about the destination but the journey. The present moment, with all its simplicity and beauty, was where true happiness resided. Mark had learned to embrace the present, to live fully and freely, and to let go of the incessant need to control the future. As he stood up to leave, Mark smiled to himself. He knew that Mr. Anxiety would always be a part of him, but he had found the key to keeping him in check. By living in the present, Practicing meditation, exercising, and setting realistic goals, he had created a balanced and fulfilling life. But now, think about your life. You are standing at the edge of your future, filled with dreams and ambitions, but weighed down by the constant presence of anxiety. Today, we learn from Mark's journey that Mr. Anxiety can be a relentless companion, always pushing us towards tomorrow, leaving us exhausted and disconnected from today. But here's the powerful truth: the present moment is where life truly happens. It's where you breathe, where you feel, where you live. It's important to plan, yes, but it's even more important to cherish what you do with your life today. Because today is the only thing you can truly control. So, take a deep breath. Feel the ground beneath your feet. Embrace this moment. Meditate, exercise, break your goals into smaller, achievable steps. Love yourself enough to be present now. Your journey to overcoming anxiety starts with this moment. Make today your masterpiece. Do the best for yourself right now, and watch how beautifully your life unfolds. If this story resonated with you, leave a comment below and share how you plan to live more in the present. Let's inspire each other to embrace today, together. Thanks for watching, and be a better you.